Nation, it's your favorite nurse Jasmine. I'm back today with another video. So today's video is going to actually be my FNP semester 2 wrap up. I know you guys have been anxiously waiting for this video, considering I have been posting back-to-back vlogs about kind of what went on during the semester. If you guys have been following me through this journey, you know for the second semester I actually went MIA for about a month. And in YouTube world, a month equals to like a year. So yeah, it was difficult for me, and I apologize for going MIA, but I hope I made it up to you guys with the vlogs that I have been posting, because even though I wasn't actively here on YouTube, I was still vlogging and I was still really interactive with you guys through social media. It was just really hard to record and edit and upload all while dealing with a difficult semester. So if you're new to my channel, my name is Jasmine G. I am a registered nurse. I am an ICU nurse and currently in FNP school. This is my second semester, so it was my hardest semester. And basically I'm just documenting my journey to share with you guys the ups, the downs, the triumphs, the sad things, and a little bit of everything else in between. So if you're interested in kind of what happened this semester, please continue to watch. Okay guys, so basically this semester was my hardest semester. I knew this semester was going to be very difficult. I took a total of 15 credit hours, not by choice, simply because that's how the program is structured. And when I tell you guys, doing 15 credit hours along with working and being a mom and being a YouTuber, or I don't really like to call myself a YouTuber, but I guess it is very difficult. It is something that is very, very hard to manage. So unfortunately YouTube had to take a back seat to what I was doing at the time. So I actually took advanced pharmacology, advanced nursing research, FNP 1 with clinicals, which was my first semester of clinicals, and we'll get into that in just a little bit, along with nursing theory. I had to think about it. I'm like, I know I had 5 classes. I can just start with my easiest class, and that was nursing theory. Nursing theory was a breeze. It was like Florence Nightingale, Hildegard Pepelu, and just how you incorporate nursing theory in order to better the care that you provide patients. Honestly, it was a fluff class. I have taken, this is now my second theory class, because I took family theory and now this is nursing theory, and I still feel like it's a fluff class and it is just something to put into the curriculum for me to pay money. Honestly, that's just how I feel about it. And yeah, it was really easy. I left that class with an A. And like, it was just a lot of busy work, a lot of discussions, a lot of responses. You had to respond to, so every discussion is due on, I think on a Sunday, and then you had to respond to 5 people's discussions boards or discussion posts, and then you had to respond to everyone who responded to you. So what I would do was just make my posts really, really long. I mean, everything in the rubric, and then I just added just tons of crap. So that way, a lot of people, you open up a post, you don't want to respond to somebody who has written so much stuff, and it's going to take you more time to read what they post than it is for you to respond. So a lot of people never responded to me, so in turn I didn't ever have to respond to a lot of people who responded to my posts. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, that's what I did in that class, and it worked because not a lot of people responded to me, and I was okay with that because then that means less posts that I actually had to do. And yeah, that is the class that I finished with an A. Okay, so I guess we can go into nursing research. Nursing research was a very difficult class at the beginning. So when I first started nursing research, I was actually failing, and it was because we did like every 2 weeks we did a quiz, and then we had one big paper in the middle of the semester, and then at the very end of the semester we had the second part to that paper, which we added on, and those were majority of my grades. So that's where I got the majority of my grade from. Initially I didn't know how she was like going about doing the quizzes, so I didn't know what to expect on the quizzes, and nursing research was so stinking boring. Like, it was ridiculously boring, and I felt like it went over my head, and I was like, I don't know this. Like, all I need to know is how to look up evidence-based practice and what is considered evidence-based and what is not. Like, what is a strong research method versus what is very weak and not really supported by research. Like, that's all I need to know. And yeah, that class wanted me to know everything in between that, above it and around it, and I was just like, I don't have the time. Like, honestly, this semester I did not have the time to deal with that class. So I ended up getting a really good grade on my first paper. I got a 99%, and the only thing that I did wrong in that paper is I put my appendix table before my references, and apparently it was supposed to go after my references. So that's the only point I got deducted from that whole entire paper, and I was like, kudos, Jasmine. And then my second paper I got a 97 on, and I can't remember what I got deducted on off of it, but a 99 and a 97, that was the majority of my grade. However, those quiz grades killed me at the end, and basically I ended up with a 88 in the class. It was like an 88.96 or something, and I was like, ugh. Like, literally, if I would have did better on my first 3 quizzes, which I think I got like 2 70s and a 75, and then all the rest of my quizzes I got like 85s and 90s and 95s. So if I would have did better on those first 3 quizzes, I could have left with a low A. But unfortunately, it didn't work that way. And I was just actually happy to pass the class, even though it was a strong B. I'm very proud of that strong B because everyone told me that that would be the most difficult class of this semester. And a lot of people actually told me that I probably would not pass that class this semester, and that I should... Yeah, it was just a lot of negativity surrounding this class, and just people doubting that I could do it during the full-time program. And I finished strong and very proud of myself. So yes. So the next class we're going to talk about is FNP1. So FNP1 is basically the equivalent to like your med surges, your clinical patho, your anatomy. It is basically the disease process, how to recognize what the disease is or what the illness is, your differential diagnoses, and your treatment plans, your antibiotics, your follow-ups. It teaches you basically all of that. It took a little bit to get used to like the style of the test and things like that, because my brain is so wired to critical care nursing that I sometimes struggle with the like addressing an issue as a provider instead of as a nurse. And I know that is difficult to say, and probably for some of you guys it is difficult to understand, but my brain more works, I mean, it's all I know. So my brain works as a nurse and it works as a critical care nurse. So I automatically go to the most like what could go wrong if I don't address something, and sometimes I think that can like backfire on me. But it does come in handy when thinking about differential diagnosis. I can actually say that I am very comfortable with my differentials. And for this to be just my second semester, I think the experience of being a nurse before going into FNP school plays a huge role in me being able to grasp some of the concepts. So I actually finished this class with a B. We did another OSCE this semester, and it was an acute problem, and basically we did not know what we were getting ourselves into, and we just walked in the room. And this semester we were required to diagnose in the room, create a treatment plan in the room, and prescribe a medication in the room. So I was freaking out. Like, literally my professor made me take off my Apple Watch because it was like dinging, because my heart rate was so high, and I was just like sitting here like how I'm talking to you guys. I was just sitting here not doing anything, and my heart rate was in like the 130s, 140s, because I was so nervous. I thought, what if I get in there and I know what it is but I don't know what medication to prescribe? And that is because I will get into pharm last, but that is because my pharm class I feel like just wasn't cohesive with my FNP class. So I was like super worried about the prescribing part, not so much as figuring out what it was, because honestly as soon as I went in there and I asked her whatever the problem was, and I asked her the first couple of questions, I immediately knew what the problem was. But then it took me a little bit to figure out, like, do I prescribe A or B? Like, what should I do? So thankfully I prescribed the right thing. I did miss a couple of things on my assessments that weren't big things, so I didn't get taken a lot of points off. And surprisingly, a lot of people had to redo our OSCE, so I was just very thankful that I didn't have to redo it. And I got really good big feedback from my SOAP note. So I'm improving with my SOAP note, but I still take a very long time to write up a SOAP. and I really need to get better with that. So as far as clinical, I did my clinical rotation at a nursing home, and I know a lot of you guys are gonna be like, ew, oh my gosh. I actually really enjoyed it. It does not smell the best. I know that's what a lot of people are like afraid to do nursing home, but I did the geriatric hours, and I got all of my geriatric hours done. I think I was like halfway done with the semester, and I had already covered all of my geriatric hours, so therefore the rest of my hours went over into my family practice hours. So I was thankful for that, and there are some people now that have 0 geriatric hours depending on who they were with this semester. So I'm very, very excited that I was able to get my geriatric hours out of the way. And so basically the nursing home that I was in had a total of 8 floors. So it was kind of like rounding in the hospital, like what a hospitalist would do. You round on all of your patients, and you just see the ones who have the complaints in the nursing home. That's the only difference. Go to the floor, and there's a list of people who had complaints from the day before or the night before, and those are the ones you go to see. You also do like pre-op medications you go through, and you do gradual dose reductions on people's with certain antipsychotics and things like that. I learned a lot. I was able to go to some of the medical management meetings and kind of see like the back story of how to get like the most profit out of your organization. I was able to go to mortality review, which reviews all of the deaths that occurred within the organization, and I really just learned a lot. I learned a lot about coding and the importance of coding, and the place that I was at actually did not have anything electronic, so I got to write like handwrite prescriptions. I got to handwrite all the progress notes. I really enjoyed it, and I actually like working with old people. Not all of them are nice, but a majority of them are really, really nice, and it is more of maintenance. It's like more of condition management than it is like something acute until the flu broke out, and then it was just madness. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and you saw a little bit of everything, like surprisingly a lot of mental health things. So finally we're going to get into pharm. I know this is what majority of you guys were worried about, because I was worried about, did I pass pharm, didn't I pass pharm, like what? Guys, I passed pharm. Thank God. If you're new to my channel, you probably have no idea why I am acting the way that I am, but basically I was failing pharm until the end. Like none of my grades were in. My professor was horrible. There was no lectures, there was no PowerPoints, there were no voice threads. It was basically read this chapter, then you're gonna read this chapter, then you're gonna read this chapter, then you're gonna take this test, then you're gonna do. So we only had a total of 3 tests, and then we had an evidence-based practice group project, and then we had a case study project that was an individual project. The rubrics for both of those were trash. It didn't really give you what she was looking for. There was only like 3 points to like 3 sections of where majority of your points came from, and it was very unclear. So thankfully I had a really good partner on my evidence-based practice assignment. And a little FYI, I'm tired of group projects, okay? I'm over it, and it shouldn't really be a thing when you're in a master's program. However, I had a really good partner. He was awesome, and that was like my first time having a really good group, like a group project done, because most people don't do their part, and I end up having to take over. But I can honestly say we shared this 50-50, and I was thankful for that. So my case study, I picked a patient out of my ICU that had a crap ton of medications, and I just threw the book at her, and I was just like, hopefully this is enough to give me a good grade. I ended up getting a 95 on both of those assignments, which helped me a lot. So I actually failed my first 2 tests, and I was freaking out. And the reason being is because the first test I didn't know what to expect, and then I did so bad on the first test that I was just like, I don't even know what I did wrong. She didn't do like a review, a test review. We didn't get to see the rationales for what questions were right versus what questions were wrong, and I was livid. So if you watch one of my vlogs, I had to go to the dean, or it's like a car chit chat or something like that. That gives you a little bit more detail, so I'm not going to get into it too much. But what I was able to do was contact my professor, and we actually went over my test together. And there was a lot of stuff that I was confident in and I got wrong. And so I explained to her why I chose what I chose and the rationales behind why I chose. I had like my book open and we did like a legit review, and I ended up getting some points back on those exams, but I was still failing before I went into my final. So my final, I studied my ass off. Like PICMONIC was so clutch, and also being in a nursing home dealing with antibiotics, because our last exam was over like antibiotics, anticonvulsants, what else did we do, narcotics, what else did we do? I think that was it. So the topics were smaller, and it was medications that I was familiar with. There's medications that I dealt with on a daily basis, and I was just very confident in the way that I prepared for this test, and also the experience of working in a nursing home and working in an ICU. They just came into play. And like I said, the medication that I wasn't comfortable with, PICMONIC was like really, really clutch for your girl. And I just had to devote time solely to this final. And when I tell you guys, I studied so hard, and actually going through the final and taking the final, I was just like, I know this one, I know this one, I know this one. Like, some of them I had to actually like sit back and think about, and some of the questions I was like, we never even talked about this medication, we never talked about the drug. And even once I was done with the test, you know, you remember some of the ones that you don't know. So I went and Googled like one of the meds, and I was like, I have no idea what this medication is still. And of course, you know, I read about it then, but when I went back into our book, I was like, sis, this was not in there. Thankfully, I ended up passing my final with a 90. So that 90 and that 95 and 95 is what came in clutch for your girl. I passed with like an 82 in the class. And of course, you need an 80 to pass. So I barely passed, but y'all, I passed. So that's all that matters. I am actually looking for a short, maybe like a refresher pharm course that I can take this summer, just to help me prepare, because I am going to be in a family practice clinic, and I just don't want to be like completely dumb when it comes to like some of my medications. So yeah, my pharm instructor was the worst. She is very horrible, and I hope there's some kind of evaluation on her teaching status come the next couple of semesters, just because for anybody who has to take the pharm class, I just feel like this is very unfair to them, and it is not conducive for learning. You pay a lot of money to get the education that you want, and you want it to be an amazing class. You want it to be an environment that promotes learning. And I'm not saying that it's supposed to be an easy class, but it is supposed to be a class that you learn from. Thank God I passed, and thank God I passed the semester. I officially passed my first year of FNP school, and your girl has one more year left. I am so excited. I'm kind of in disbelief because it was very hard, and I'm just stressed. Okay, so your girl is stressed, but nevertheless, I passed, and I'm excited. So literally the next week, I started my summer class. I am in a safety, quality, and innovation something class. I don't know. It is basically another fluff class, and it is all about like patient safety, quality care, and I think our first discussion was on like empathy or something like that. So it is just another class that's taken 8 weeks of my life to just fluff some discussion posts. And yeah, that's pretty much where I am with that. I will do another video telling you guys about my clinical site for next semester, as well as all the classes that I'm taking next semester. But I usually do that right before the semester starts. So make sure that you subscribe to my channel, so that way you don't miss any of the updates and continue this journey with me. So that's kind of how my semester went, guys. It was rough. It was a very difficult semester, and I'm so glad to be done, and I'm thankful for all the prayers that you guys have sent for me. I'm thankful for all the check-ins you guys have done with me during this time. Like, it is really, really appreciated. I'm telling you, God helped me through this. Like, praying constantly to like give me the strength to keep going, because I was so ready to give up and be like, all right, this isn't for me. all this money that it's costing me to do this, like, this is just not gonna, this is not gonna work for you, girl. And I didn't know if, yeah, I was like, I just don't know. She told me this is the hardest semester, and if you get through the semester, you're good. So hopefully from here on out, it is just easy cruising. I know it won't be easy, but hopefully we'll just cruise along the way and just continue to build on here. But I can tell you guys, my course load is not going to be as much next semester or the semester after that, and I'm looking forward to that. But my clinical hours do increase each semester, so yeah, we'll address that in an upcoming video. And thank you guys so much for everything, and don't forget to leave me some comments. So that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and until the next video, don't forget to boss up and conquer. Mwah.